Hey, how's it going? My name is Chris Down. Welcome to my channel. Essentially, what I do here is I talk about anything really like local lead gen related. Primarily, I talk about Google Ads, but today we're going to be talking about GMB listings. So today, without wasting too much time about me and myself and all that kind of crap, let's just get into it. So today, I'm going to be talking about 5 tips that you can be using to get your Google My Business listing ranked a little bit higher. So if you don't know what a GMB listing is, you don't know what a Google My Business listing is, this is essentially what it is. So this is usually called like the map pack or the 3-pack. There's 100 different names out there for it, but it's essentially when somebody goes to Google, they type in something like roofing contractor near me. It's these top 3 results in the map listings. And this is pretty much like if you're a local service-based business, or you are, I primarily work in sort of like the home improvement and contracting type niches. This is essentially where you want to be. If you're in either one of these 3 spots, you're going to be getting phone calls coming your way. So like I mentioned here, if you get your local business ranked here, you're going to have a consistent stream of inbound phone calls coming into your business for years and years and years to come. So a couple things to keep in mind before I get going. I do want to make sure I kind of set some right expectations here. Competition is going to have a really big impact on your rankings. So if you're in a super competitive market, some of these things I'm going to talk about might help. But I don't know, don't expect to go from like way down at the bottom all the way up to number 1 just by doing these things if it's super competitive. Also, GMB listings primarily work on a local level. So if you're like a local service provider and you're trying to rank in a town that's like 50 miles away, it's probably not going to work. The way it works is Google will display a listing based on the proximity to the actual search that's happening. So if somebody's searching 50 miles away for my business, I'm probably not going to show up. And also, this is a time investment, but the mindset that I want you to take with this is that you're building an asset. If you get a GMB listing set up really well with a lot of really good reviews, it's something that's going to last you years and years and years. So some of the actions you're going to do are probably going to seem trivial. They're probably going to seem very tedious. You're going to have to do them over and over again. But over time, you're going to be building an asset that's going to produce leads for years and years to come. Also, just for more expectation setting, the tips I share in this video are primarily geared towards kind of like local business owners. So if you're already like a marketer or a GMB expert, and you're looking for something that's like super advanced GMB tactics and hacks, this probably isn't the video for you. That said, if you do the things in this video, you're definitely going to see an improvement in your GMB ranking. So number 1, as basic as this might sound, you want to make sure your listing is filled with as much content as possible. And now this includes text, images, videos, things like that. Right, one thing that's working really well right now is 360 images. And I don't go over this in this video, but you can actually go and hire essentially like a Google trusted photographer to take 360 images for you and then upload those to your listing. You can just Google Google trusted photographer, and there'll probably be some instructions online to hire them, but those are working really well right now. In regards to the text, you want to make sure that you fill in as much text as possible on that listing. And you also want to make sure you cram it with, not cram it with keywords. You want to incorporate keywords into that listing as well that are relevant to your business or for the services that you want to show up for. And the way it kind of works is Google's going to be a lot more likely to display a listing that has more quality content on it. And then also, it's not only, a Google and a Google ranking thing, but your potential customer is going to make a decision based on how trustworthy you look. And if you have more content, more text, images of completed jobs or views, they're going to be more likely to trust you. And this is a big thing in the home improvement and contracting kind of space, because there's a lot of people that just neglect their listings, and they just look very sketchy. And people that impacts how many people actually call your business. So if you look really trustworthy, more people are going to call. So let me, just so I'm not talking about it, let me actually show you what I'm talking about here. So this is one of my clients. Really what we're talking about when it comes to the content, if you go to this info tab right here, pretty much what you want to do is you want to go through all of this and you want to fill out as much as possible. Pretty much everything that's relevant to your business. So you're going to have your the name of your business. These are your categories right here, and we're going to touch on this a little bit more later. Your address, which we'll also touch on a little bit later. Make sure you define some of your service areas, your hours. What else do we have here? Your phone number. Some of this is relevant for some businesses, not all businesses. If you do book appointments online, you can include a link there. place an order link. Obviously, if you're a restaurant, this is very, very useful. Products, more for like retail type stuff. But if you can kind of like creatively incorporate this into your business, feel free. Services, if you're a home improvement business, this is pretty much where you're going to be putting most of the effort in terms of these kind of options. And then if any of these are relevant to your business, obviously fill all these out. And then the other very important part here is the description, because this gives you, it should still be, I think, 750 characters. You want to make sure that you use every single one of those characters and drop in keywords. So if you're like a fencing company, drop in, we're, a fencing company in blah, blah, blah town. We're a fencing contractor here. We're a local fencing contractor in, I don't know, Austin, Texas or something like that. And just drop those kind of keywords in there. If you want to put in some of your services that you do, make sure you drop those keywords in there as well. Cause if you want to show up for those keywords, you want to make sure those are in your listing. And then on top of that, if you just scroll down to photos here, this is where you can upload all your media. So, like I said before, you want to make sure you put as much as possible into this. Try to make the photos high quality. Drop in photos, drop in videos, and then, like I said before, the 360 images are super, super, super helpful. So a couple little bonus ideas on top of that. If you want to make sure your image or video file actually contains the keywords you want to rank for, because Google does actually look at the keywords or the words that are in the file name itself. Another thing you can do is leverage geotagging on your images. So one thing you can check out is GeoImger or GeoImger. Essentially what that does is it kind of like embeds location data in that image. So it gives a bit more information to Google about like where was this photo taken. And that'll help to, sometimes it's not like this massive ranking factor, but it can help you to boost that ranking a little bit in some cases. And then also another little thing you can do is have customers upload their images to your GMB. This will kind of send a signal to Google that there's more user engagement on that GMB. And usually you can do this by just having them upload pictures while they're leaving reviews. So moving on from there, number 2, you want to make sure your citations are set up properly. Now, what is a citation? It's essentially like a listing, essentially a listing online on, there's a million different websites that have business listings, but it's essentially where your business name, your phone number, and your address are going to be listed online. So some of the big citation sources you're going to find online are like Info USA, Facebook, Yelp, Yellow Pages, going back to the home improvement niche, the contracting niche. You're going to be looking at like Angie's List, Home Advisor, House, things like that. And then there's some other like smaller citation sources that are still worth picking up for sure. There's going to be like niche specific directory sites, local and statewide directory sites. And then, if you're part of like a local chamber of commerce, you can actually not only get a citation from there, but in a lot of cases you can sometimes get a backlink from those sites, which is really, really valuable. But that's kind of what citations are in a nutshell. So you really want to kind of make sure you get as many of those as possible. But some really, really, really important points with citations is you'll typically, if you look into anything about SEO, you're going to hear about NAP. That's name, address, phone number. You want to make sure that your business's name, address, and phone number are literally like identical to your GMB listing. Down to punctuation, capitalization, symbols, everything that is in the address for your GMB listing has to be identical to your citations. And you're probably thinking like, why? Why should I do all this? It sounds very complicated. The reason you want to do this is Google's going to like essentially crawl the internet for your business name, address, phone number. And it's going to gather all these different data points and then kind of assimilate it all together and then verify, are you a legit established business with a location? And the more legit you seem to Google, the higher you're most likely going to rank. This point right here, essentially, the more you have, the more legit you look in the eyes of Google, the more legit you look in the eyes of Google, the higher your potential ranking is going to be. So you want to make sure you have as many as possible. And essentially, this is how I build citations. I just outsource it for the most part. It's an incredibly, incredibly tedious task. You can do it yourself, and I would recommend really just doing kind of like the primary bigger ones yourself, like Facebook, Yelp, Home Advisor, because a lot of times with those, they're going to need like phone call verification type stuff. But in a lot of cases, usually a pretty good chance you have those set up. Everything else, though, I usually outsource. There's a ton of resources. Fiverr's a good option. There's a bunch of different businesses that have kind of like citation building packages. Do a little bit of research. I might make a video on this later, but if you just go to fiverr.com, fiverr.com, and just Google GMB citation building or like SEO citation building or something like that, you'll probably find a ton of different services on there. So number 3, you want to have the right keyworded content on your website. So this kind of ties into the keyworded content on your GMB, but this is just an example of that. So let me actually pull up I have a search result over here. So this is again, same client, different, I guess, like division of their business. So if I Google green screen studio NJ and I scroll down right here, you're going to see IMP Digital Studios, and you see in all these listings, it says their website mentions green screen studio, mentions green screen studio. Essentially what Google is doing is they're not only looking at all the keywords on the GMB listing, they're actually going and they're looking at the website itself, and they are seeing what keywords are on the website. So if you have dedicated pages on your site with a bunch of keyworded content on it, Google is going to notice that, and then it's going to play into how your GMB ranks as well. So like you can see with all these, there's nothing really that says that they are green screen studios. I think in my client's GMB here, there are some keywords for green screen studio, but because Google crawls the website, it also gives you the potential to show up for those keywords. So moving on to number 4, you want to make sure your settings and address are set up properly. So what I mean by this is it's kind of like one of these cases where if you have one setting that could be off or like not set up properly, it could completely affect how you're ranking or what kind of searches you're showing up for. And there's a couple examples of this that I can give. So this first point here, the address that your GMB is registered under. So there's been a lot of different tests on this, and usually how Google works is they're going to display your GMB based on the address that you originally registered it under. So it doesn't matter like where you set your service area for your GMB. If you are over here in, town A, and this is where you set up this is where you registered the address for your GMB, but you are displaying a service area over here in town B, and this is really where you want to rank, there's a much lower chance of that because Google is essentially going to say, oh, well, this is registered over in town A, so we're just going to rank it over in this town. So ultimately what you want to do is you want to make sure that you change the actual address that your GMB is registered under to town B so that you actually show up in that town. And like I said, it doesn't really matter where you put your service area, where you define your service area. It's really all about where you have it registered. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. I'm not going to go into it in this video because that would take way too long. But if you can get like a virtual address over in town B and then change the GMB address over to that town, you can actually rank in that town. This is Google, so there's a lot of gray area, which, if you've done any research and any kind of, digging into SEO or local SEO, there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of, it depends, but as a general rule of thumb, you want to make sure the address you register your GMB under is where you want to rank. It's in the town that you want to rank. And then on top of that, you want to make sure your categories and things like services are set up properly. So I can give you a quick example of this over here. So this is, again, just to, not get you confused here. So this is one of my clients. They have two kind of like different divisions here. So there's IMP Studios, and this is a recording studio. It's all like under the same roof, but it's kind of like different divisions of their business. And then there's IMP Digital Studios, which is all like video production. They have a really nice green screen studio. So it's kind of like two separate entities that are under the same umbrella in a sense. But the issue they were having before is this GMB for IMP Digital Studios, which is the video production side of the company. Their primary category was originally set as recording studio. And because of that, they weren't showing up for all the video production related searches that they wanted to be showing up for. So essentially, one really simple change that we did is we just got rid of recording studio from their categories and from their services and everything, made video production service the primary category. And I know not every business has this luxury, but we split out the recording studio into its own thing because it is kind of like its own sort of entity. and set the primary category for this one as recording studio. And now between the two of them, they're essentially getting double the search traffic and calls and everything that they were getting before. So, as if I can tie this back into, I guess, like the home improvement or contracting niche, if you are a company that offers like HVAC and plumbing, and you are set up, let me just kind of show this in search just so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Like if you're an HVAC and plumbing company and you have your primary category set to, HVAC contractor, but you want to be showing up for plumbing searches, what people are going to see is right here is going to show like HVAC contractor, but not plumbing. So if you don't have plumbing set as your primary category, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to be showing up for as many of those searches. So you want to make sure that primary category is actually set for what you want to be showing up for. So that is pretty much the settings side of things. Number 5, you want to get as many reviews as possible and then also respond to them. Again, this seems basic and I guess kind of like common sense to some extent. But the thing with Google is, Google My Business rather, it's really just kind of doing like the sort of mundane things, just like get reviews, keep asking people for reviews. And over time, those actions keep stacking on top of each other. So it's one of those things to not only, like one of the best things to not only get your listing ranking higher, but it's also going to make you that much more legit in the eyes of your potential customers. Because if you have, double the reviews of the person that's number 2, people are going to be much, much more likely to call you over the competition. So it's one of those things where there's not some like secret strategy to do this. It's really just kind of ask your customers. There's some ways you can automate it and things like that, but just keep asking. And I'm going to give you a couple tools in just a second to make it a little bit easier. But you might get like 1 out of 10 people that you ask to review, but that's still, 1 more review that you got. 1 is greater than 0. And just keep repeating that action. And also make sure that you follow up on those people that you've asked to leave reviews. And like I say here, the most important thing is that you're just asking consistently, even if it's like, ask a couple new people every single day to leave a review that are previous clients or previous customers. But like a lot of things with the GMB listing, it's a tedious task. It takes a while, but kind of thinking back to that long-term mindset, thinking in terms of, a GMB being an asset, each of those reviews has value. Like they're not going to go anywhere. And the more reviews you get, the more jobs are going to be coming in the long term. It's kind of like an exponential curve where, the more reviews you get, the more jobs you're probably going to get. There's probably going to be a cap at a certain point, but I would love to be able to equate an exact dollar amount to it, but over time, those actions are going to continue to stack and you're going to keep, outdoing your competition. And if you can get to the point where you're doubling, tripling, quadrupling the number of reviews you have on your listing compared to your competitors, you're going to solidify the number 1 spot in those rankings and probably never lose it for years and years and years. So a couple of tools to make this easier. So one of them is the Whitespark Google Review link generator. It's right here. I'll drop this in the description. But it's whitespark.ca/Google Review link generator. You essentially just enter your business here. It gives you a link that will take somebody directly to the GMB listing and just pop up literally a window that just says leave a review. So all you do is you just send somebody the link, they click it, and it takes them straight to a little box that says to leave a review. So that way you're kind of taking out the steps. They don't have to like Google your business's name and then go to the GMB and then figure out where to click to leave a review. It just takes out all of those steps and makes it really, really simple for people. The other tool here is called Gather Up. So if you just Google Gather Up Google Review Link Generator, it's a Chrome extension. I personally prefer this one a little bit better because if I remember correctly, all you do is you just go to the GMB listing, click this little extension up here, and it just generates a couple of links. And it's the same kind of idea. It takes people directly to the listing and makes it really simple. So you would essentially just use those, generate the links, and then send those links to people, and then they can just leave a review, and it makes it very, very simple for people. And in conclusion, at the end of the day, it's really about, just making your listing look as legit as possible. And really, the more legit it looks, the more likely Google is going to display it higher. But also, again, it's not all about making Google display it higher. It's also about looking more legit to your customers. If you look more legit to your customers, more people are going to call you. And really, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is getting calls, getting leads, really. So that's it. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video, let me know. If you didn't, leave a dislike. It's all good. If you want to see more of this content, make sure you do that YouTube thing and you subscribe, you like. I'm not going to make you smash the subscribe button. Just if you subscribe, I would appreciate it. But yeah, make sure, if there is anything that you are looking for, I'm mostly going to be talking about like Google Ads type stuff. But if you are looking for anything, if there's anything you need help with, leave a comment. I'm going to try and get to as many as possible. And if there's any, ideas that you have for new videos or things that I could potentially help with, let me know and I can try and make some videos about it. So, again, I will, kind of keep creating more stuff. I hope to see you back in more videos. And if you want to, follow me on Facebook, I'm going to drop my Facebook profile link down there, my Instagram profile, LinkedIn profile, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to follow me, if you want to chat there, feel free to connect. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, would really appreciate liking, subscribing to the channel, and I hope to see you in another video. Thanks.